My guest on today's episode of the Circuspreneur Podcast is Frisco City Council member Tammy Meinershagen. Welcome to the podcast, Tammy. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're so welcome. And did I pronounce your last name correctly, Tammy?
You did. You got it just right.
Okay, fantastic. I'm so excited to interview you on the podcast today and to tell listeners a little bit about who you are as such a dynamic city council member. She was named the Spirit of Frisco by the Frisco Chamber of Commerce and one of CEO Mom Magazine's Power 15. Tammy is a dynamic leader and recognized change maker with a proven track record for identifying gaps and building lasting solutions. Her groundbreaking work has been featured in the Wall Street Journal, DCEO Magazine, Dallas Morning News, WFAA, and numerous other media outlets. Tammy made history as the first Asian American to serve on the Frisco City Council and the first Korean American female to serve on any city council in the state of Texas. Tammy's leadership has transformed the city of Frisco's arts, cultural, and innovation landscape. Over the past decade in various community roles, she has consistently fostered strong collaborations with corporate, civic, nonprofit, regional, and national partners, resulting in exceptional outcomes and new programs, ushering in the Frisco Renaissance in Sports City, USA. Tammy's professional journey spans across diverse sectors, including education, nonprofit management, and business consultancy. As Chief Innovation Officer at Blackshaw Partners, a prestigious global executive search firm with a 40-year heritage, Tammy orchestrated growth strategies that propelled the firm's nationwide and international expansion. She has revamped its digital infrastructure, streamlined operations, and introduced pioneering technologies, driving efficiency and enabling successful new market entry. Tammy's commitment to education is evident through her active involvement on the advisory boards of Legacy Christian Academy and Leadership Prep School. She also serves as a mentor within the Frisco Independent Schools District's Business Incubator Program and Independent Studies program. Additionally, Tammy contributes to philanthropic endeavors as a member of the Orchid Giving Circle under the Texas Women's Foundation, supporting Asian American causes in North Texas with grants exceeding $1.4 million. Originally from Chicago, Illinois, Tammy is a graduate of Northwestern University and a proud Wildcat. She and her husband Todd reside in Frisco, where they raised three beautiful daughters. She looks forward to transitioning to an empty nest this fall and playing her piano again. Fantastic. You're so amazing,
Yay!
Tammy. It was such a pleasure to meet you just about a month or so ago in Frisco, Texas, for the American
Yeah.
Circus Fest, brought to you by Circus Vasquez and the Lone Star Circus, which are both, I mean, they are so deeply, deeply circus in America and so insanely
Yes.
popular. And the for profit circus sector with Circus Vasquez, and then in the nonprofit circus sector for Lone Star. And the American Circus Fest, I think it was in its third incarnation this year. And it's a really valuable type of event that they are putting on and bringing the European influence into the American circus market. We don't have a lot of festivals
Hmm.
that are like that in America. And the hub of Frisco is just so perfect for it. The entire layout was fantastic, where they were able to pitch the tent and the accessibility, with the hotels around it. I mean, everything was really perfect. Circus Festival. I just can't get enough of it. And you and your presence
Yeah,
there, Tammy, was so fantastic. Thank you so much for coming and for shining a light on
absolutely.
the local circus environment and industry. And what was your take on the American Circus Fest there? And bringing your eyes as a city council member and local government into the world of circus.
Yeah. Well, first of all, it was so exciting to see it happening. It was the first time that I was attending it in Frisco. But being able to see all the different folks that were coming in. I mean, you had families, all different ages, all different cultures, and they were so excited. They had no idea, what they were going to see, but they were getting their popcorn, getting ready, and then really being able to witness the incredible both artistry and the athleticism of the circus performers. It was mind blowing. I mean, and it was beautiful. And it really just took you out of whatever stressors you had that day into another world. And that's really exactly what the arts does. But it was on a totally different level to have it with this athletic prowess. I mean, the feats that we were watching flying from the ceiling. I mean, it was absolutely beautiful. So I loved it.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's so great to hear your feedback, Tammy, as an outsider, but then also too, again, as a local and as a local representative, and then
Yes,
supporting the circus arts in a way that I think is so beneficial. And on this podcast, I really try to connect local officials to the industry so that we can get really acquainted with you and understand who represents us on a local district and state level, and also too on a
sure.
federal level. Yeah, because
Yeah.
sometimes not
Yeah.
many industry professionals know.
Well, and I think you don't really usually find arts advocates at that level, usually either local, state, or even federal. And so I remember just being, when I was not in a role like this, wishing that there was a champion on the inside, somebody that really understood the value of the arts and what it can do for a community and the tourism value, as well as just the health of the entire community. So I'm proud to be that person for Frisco, and I want to keep doing that for wherever, whether it's throughout just my community, but in the region. I mean, Frisco is really trying to make a mark as an arts friendly city. So this is a huge part of it.
Oh, that's fantastic. And I love that you're saying that too, because Tammy, you also, there was some great statistics that came out not that long ago about the impacts of the arts on Frisco's economy. And that's another thing that I try to bring into all of my meetings with
Yeah.
legislators. And it's so great to see Frisco taking that initiative to see what the impact of the arts is on the local economy in Frisco. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
There was a new study that was done, and it's by the Americans for the Arts. So it's a national advocacy agency, and they did a brand new economic study for how many people come to a city just for the arts, how much are they spending on average, how much is it boosting the local economy. And I don't have the specific numbers in front of me, but I know that the impact from this study was larger than they ever expected. We have 10 million, like 7 million visitors to Frisco right now. We're expecting to have about 10 million by the time PGA really takes hold in 2027. And in between there, we're going to probably have more of our musical tourism happening. So that's the kind of thing that we want to see, is how there's an economic driver that's built into the arts. And it's not just that it's incredibly inspiring for people. It actually helps the economy. It helps small business. It helps everyone that's residually around. It's kind of a halo effect, like we like to say, that when you have something like this happening in a community, everybody's benefiting.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And, in speaking about, PGA, I have a strong connection to Texas. I grew up going there for gymnastics camps, and many listeners of this podcast have a very strong, I think, connection to Texas, and it's sports
Mhm.
and it's also arts, because there is a
That's
lot
right.
of gymnastics there, and there is also too a lot of circus there, and a lot of traditional circus now also too blended with the contemporary circus, which are kind of sometimes the competing worlds that are happening within the
Yes.
circus world, on a local and state
Uh-huh.
level, and then obviously with the traveling circuses too, again with Circus Vasquez, and then with the other kind of contemporary independent circus businesses there. So, to help us understand a little bit, Tammy, of what is your role as city council? How did you come into this role, and what is it that you do? I would say in the most basic of terms, so that we can understand how you affect the arts in Frisco, and then how you affect just the economy, and then the comings and goings of Frisco just overall as a city council member.
Sure. Well, I'll take that as a two-part question. So I'll give you the background, and then I'll give you what I do on council. So my background, I'm actually not from Texas. I'm from Chicago. So a little suburb outside of Chicago, and music was my first language. My parents are South Korean immigrants, and grew up in the 70s. So there wasn't an ESL program at school. I just got thrown in, and good luck. So the way that I was able to
Wow.
communicate with people and
Oh,
make friends was actually through
mhm.
music. And that's when I really internalized that power of what music can do and what the arts can do, which is connect people to one another. And you don't have to speak the same language. You don't even have to have anything else in common, because you're enjoying something together. So that was really just ingrained in me from age 4 and 5. fast forward, I became a piano performance major at Northwestern and also an English major because I love to write, love to read. And that's where I met my husband, who's from Texas. So we ended up moving down here, and there was such a huge culture shock for me coming from Chicago, and all of the things that I was used to doing with the family, for music, dance, theater, visual art, and then all of a sudden here in Frisco, Texas, in 2004, there was really nothing. And I like to say I came from the mecca of arts and culture to the desert. So it was really difficult. It was a huge transition, and fortunately, my real estate agent was who is now the current mayor. Uh, we had a lot of
Wow.
great Yes, we had a lot of great conversations about this, and he was serving on council, so I'd say, "Hey, what's the plan? Is anyone going to do anything for the arts? Is there ever going to be a building, or is there ever going to be any initiatives where people advocate?" And he said, "Well, if you're interested, then I can appoint you to a committee and you can be that person." And I thought, I don't know anybody. I don't know anything about public policy. I just know that I have a passion for the arts. So sure, I'll raise my hand, I'll speak up, and I'll be appointed to a committee. So he did appoint me to what was called a citizen bond committee, where those citizens had to decide what is valuable to Frisco for the last 40%. And I was the one that was there advocating for the arts, saying, look, we have 40% left of Frisco to build out. It cannot all just be sports venues. We've got to do something more. We've got to have an arts venue. We don't have one. So that was my big push back in 2014. We were able to get some monies reserved for that, but it's been a process of more advocacy, more community building, finding the people that care about this and saying, hey, let's get together, let's be a voice, let's be champions for the arts. So that became basically my role, was citizen champion, until 2022, when I ran for council as really the arts champion and saying we really need a voice. We need someone to represent not just sports, business, finance, health on city council, but we need somebody representing arts and diversity, because our city is now 26% Asian American. When we moved here in 2004, it was not anywhere close to that. So we've become very international. That means people have varying interests of what they want to do, what they want to see, how they want to spend their time, what entertainment looks like. And somebody needs to advocate for that if it's going to be important for the future of Frisco. So thankfully I was able to join council in 2022, and my role is not only, do you represent your city because you're on the council, but your role is, number one, to be a listener to your community. How are you representing? So I've got to hear what everybody's got to say, good, bad, and ugly. And then number two, you have to manage the budget. So that's really our primary role, is money comes in from the property taxes, and then we decide how does it get spent. So it's a priorities conversation. What are the major priorities? And at the time in 2022, there was not even a word in the major priorities that said arts. And I said,
Wow.
if we're going to make arts a priority, if we're going to really consider this as part of our identity and the
Hmm.
fabric of our community, then we have to at least have the word on the priorities list, so that you have a vertical where everything can then align. So our staff members and our departments can say, okay, this is a council priority, therefore we need to do some research, or we need to find this group to come in, or et cetera, et cetera. So I had to lobby all of our council members as an advocate and say, I really think this needs to happen. We need to have the word arts in there. We can at least stick it into the leisure. It had leisure and culture, but it did not have arts. So
Hmm.
yes, so policy making, like, that's what it is. It's conversations, and it's making a difference and changing the direction of the ship a little bit for those priorities. So thankfully, our council unanimously agreed in 2023, I think it was, to add the word arts. So that started jump starting a little more of the push, the intentional welcoming, intentional research, intentional invitations. Hey, what are you doing over there? Come and do it over in Frisco. Come and benefit our citizens. And then we can, on the council end, say, okay, this is great. We love it. Keep going. We'll come and represent. We'll come and support these initiatives because they are aligning with the strategy. So you all fall right into that, right? The council wants to see more arts, and therefore our staff at Visit Frisco, our tourism department, is looking for things that will align, and the circus is part of that. So is the Academy of Country Music Awards that's coming back for the second year in Frisco. We had Garth Brooks and Dolly Parton in Frisco. I mean, mind
Oh, I
blown.
love Dolly. I love Garth
Yeah,
too.
yes.
I just love
That was
Dolly.
amazing. I know. We even had Ed Sheeran, which I didn't expect him to be at the Country Music Awards, but he did a country song with like another artist. It was pretty cool. Yes, so that was last year. And then this year it's Reba McEntire is the host. So she's coming, and then all these amazing country artists will be here. And really, we wouldn't have that kind of focus if we didn't have a priority set that, hey, this is what we want to do. We want to see more of this in Frisco. So I get to be the recipient of the great work that our staff is doing, truly, because we're out there having to listen to all of our citizens and do the overall policy making, not just for arts, and sports and health and business, but all of it. While each of our staff members and the role that they are playing to make it happen. So I have to give great kudos to Visit Frisco and their work, as well as another department called Play Frisco. They never had even an arts and culture staff person dedicated to creating arts and cultural programming until things were changed from the top. So now we have a dedicated staff person that's working on more arts activities for the kids, for the students, for families. We have this brand new art gallery that was built within our one of our facilities that they painted the walls white and they created a true visual art gallery, which the community has never had. So things like that changing really makes me feel really good. It makes me happy that I'm in this role, that I get to champion the arts, that I get to see big changes happening that really are built on little changes over time. But now I get to be on this side where it's like the snowball, it's like it's gotten bigger and bigger and it's really rolling. So it's so much fun to be able to watch it grow.
Well, and that's large in part to your work. I mean, you are just absolutely stellar. Look where you've taken this program to
It's
where it is
exciting.
now.
Yeah.
I mean, that is huge. You should be just so proud. I mean, what a champion. And what I love, I also wanted to bring it back to what you were speaking about, like an arts and culture and that sector and having representation. We've been discussing that with, on a federal level, having a minister of arts and culture, because America is one of the only countries that doesn't have one. And so we kind of get bopped
Yes.
around to, into a lot of different environments that are not specifically designed to handle us. And so we get kind of caught in the cracks
Right.
on those federal
Right.
levels with respect to funding and budgets and appropriations and things too, which kind of becomes complicated. We've, discussed that with some presidential candidates to see what their feedback would be on that. And everybody's, very, they don't realize even that we don't have that type of representation. And when I
Right.
speak with, representatives and officials in Europe, for example, they're just floored. They're like, who handles that in America if you don't
Right.
have those
Right.
specified roles? And so it's amazing to see individuals like you, Tammy, specifically carving out that identity and that role, and also someone who came from the arts. And I advocate for that on the podcast of those coming from the circus arts, running for office and just
Yeah.
getting our foot in the door, getting on that panel.
That's right.
And then maybe they'll create a role for you just as they created for you. And then that was like your launching pad to run for office and then to make the type of impact that you're making right now, which for me, it comes back to the perspective of someone who has been in the arts, and you're a beautiful violinist. I saw your videos. You're so amazing and so beautiful. But having
Thank
that
you.
perspective coming into it, you're going to make different decisions. You're going to advocate for this
Right.
environment much differently if you've had experience as an artist, if you've had experience running a business that's based on the
Yep.
arts, if you've been shut out of granting, if you've been shut out of getting a loan. And I've brought in Lone Star, the founders of Fanny and Mark, who are fantastic. I've known them for years, that, the co-founders
Yeah.
of American Circus Fest. And we've advocated with Senator Ted Cruz's office over over the course of the last year. I was on the Hill last week speaking and discussing different bills with Congress, with members of Congress. And so what I've seen is when you bring these
That's
issues
amazing.
to them and you remind them, thank you, but you remind them and you educate as well of what is it like to run a nonprofit circus like Lone Star. And many of the things that they've brought to the senator's office is not being able to get access to certain grants and funds, and then feeling like, can we accomplish what we want to accomplish in Texas, and not wanting to
Right.
take these initiatives out of Texas because they're like, we are Texans.
Mm-hmm.
We want to fuel the art Texan circus economy. We don't want to be driven by incentives offered from another state
Right.
to take these
Right. Right.
festivals or these tours
Away.
out of Texas and take them away. So it's
Mm-hmm.
amazing
Mm-hmm.
to hear that you are fighting to have these homegrown and local companies and small businesses and nonprofits, incentivize them to stay in the state of Texas and not have to, kind of outsource and go elsewhere, and then losing that
No.
connection to where they're from, where they love to be, and really what they want to support overall with their circus presence.
Absolutely, absolutely. And honestly, I mean, my passion project since coming to Frisco has been we don't have a facility. We literally have no facility for music, dance, theater, visual art in one place in Frisco. And so I'm still advocating for that. You'll start to see some things come, hopefully, out in the news about what our plans are, because that has been something I've wanted to see for a very, very long time now. It's an expensive endeavor, of course, so you have to find private partners, as you know, as a nonprofit.
Mm.
That's what it takes. It takes people that are doing the work, but it also takes those who are passionate about it on the outside, the creators and the consumers, as I like to say. Both of them are absolutely necessary for a successful art scene. And we're trying to marry the two of them together for this big community dream that we have for a performing arts center in Frisco. And that would really open up the doors. I mean, can you imagine, even if we had something that we could consider a place where you all could do additional programming or some type of show that is allowable there, and it's a permanent structure versus you got to come in and set up everything all over every single time,
Right.
for many different groups too, so because that's a lot
Yes.
of time, effort, energy, money.
Yes.
We we want to be able to house multiple things, so that's what we're hoping for. That's a big community dream. I'm really I'm I'm fingers are crossed that we're headed in the right direction this time and that we're going to actually see some true movement.
Oh, wow. Well, I believe it coming from you because you seem like you can get
Thank you.
anything done, Tammy. It's nice to see someone
I'll
that
try.
speaks about it, but has the wherewithal to actually get it done. Sometimes those within the arts, and I think in a lot of spaces, they're a little bit reticent in and around kind of politics or
Yeah.
the local government or,
Yep.
federal government landscape. And they think, well, we want to see what this looks like. We really want to see progress. We really want to see,
Right.
the dirt broken, and then the buildings and kind
Yep.
of structures go up, and where are the budgets going to go? Is it going to come in the next 5 years, or is it going to be something that we hear about for the next 20 to 30 years? And I've seen that in different times in my career where it's like that's going to happen eventually, and it's like, well, is it going to
Yeah.
be in my career lifetime, because I might
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
into the industry
Exactly.
in a completely different way. But that's also, again, keeping in mind how multifaceted the circus arts industry is too. You might wear multiple hats, and many people do within this industry. They are small business owners, they're independent contractors, they're also employing folks, they're doing a little bit of nonprofit, a little bit of advocacy, they're teaching, they're instructing, they're studio owners, they're running touring shows, or they're trying to get venues to invite their shows or their touring shows to come.
Yeah.
And those are things that we've
Yeah.
continued to see more difficulty in and around the pandemic, that is still affecting the touring sector, for example, for circuses at this
Yeah.
point in time. So, with the support of a new venue, that would be fantastic. That is
I
already
know.
geared to
I know.
supporting the circus arts coming
Yes.
through Texas and creating those invitations. That would greatly
A game
assist
changer.
the touring sector. Yeah, absolutely. The tourism that would be
Yeah.
coming
Yeah.
in and out of there via circus would be huge.
Right, right. Well, and that's something you bring up a good point about the advocacy where a lot of people are afraid to as an artist to kind of
Mhm.
speak up and say something and get involved in a public discussion or a policy discussion or talk to your council person, go to the Hill. Like, I admire that you have the fortitude to do that, and you're as a champion of the arts, because if people don't speak up and and share what they're passionate about, nothing is going to change. Nothing is going to change. And if I had said nothing, this city wouldn't be anywhere going down that path at all either. It would have just been kind of going the same way, and somebody has to speak up. So it's vitally important. And the reality is, once you do, you realize, wait a second, there's like a whole bunch of other people that agreed with me. They were just afraid to say something, and they needed somebody to be that voice. So I just encourage anyone who's listening that, if you are passionate about something, there's a reason you're passionate about it, and you should not keep that inside. Don't hide it. Speak up, because there's probably at least 50 people around you that think the same thing, and they just need somebody to do it. So be that person.
Oh, thank you so much for those kind words of encouragement, Tammy. And thank you so much for being such a huge champion for the arts in Frisco, Texas. You are very inspiring. And can you let listeners, as we close out the podcast, know where to find you, where to support you, and where to just find you? Because you are out there, you are active, you are at
Doing
so
my
many different events.
I
Oh my
know. I don't
goodness.
know.
I don't know how you do it. You have so much energy and you're so fun.
Thank you. I don't get a lot of sleep, but yeah, people can find me on the website at Tammy the number 4 Frisco.com. You can also find me on Facebook. It's my whole last name, Tammy Meinershagen, Frisco City Council, and then on Instagram you can find Tammy the number 4 Frisco. And that's my handle. So would love to stay in touch with people and would love to hear from you, because the more people that we have advocating for the arts, the stronger our voice.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for being so accessible, Tammy. And those listening in from Texas, reach out to Tammy. She is accessible,
Yes.
she's open, and she's also on our side. So I believe also, too, Tammy, is there an election coming up soon?
There is an election coming up right now, but it is for 2 different council candidates. There will be an election. My election, re-election, will be next May. So
Okay, next May.
yes, yes, that's all. It's going to be coming up before we know it.
Well,
Yeah.
happy campaigning. Good luck
Thank
campaigning.
you.
And again, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, Tammy, on the podcast. And I will do our outro with the Circuspreneur Podcast. Is also available on Circus Talk, now Stage Link, the inclusive, independent, and international online network for the circus industry. Stage Link's mission is to create a level playing field for this industry and democratize access to information. Until next time, everyone, please stay safe and stay healthy. I'm your host, Shanae Stiletto. This is the Circuspreneur Podcast.